What's up, everybody? Welcome to Legends and Newcomers. I'm Tim Lampley. Today, we have two legends whose careers expand more than 3 decades. I'm excited because I've been a big fan of both. The first is the talented singer-songwriter, Mr. Brian McKnight. The other, what can I say? She's the mother of Black Hollywood. She's been everybody's mama, Miss Jennifer Lewis. And that's where we'll start, with the amazingly funny Miss Jennifer Lewis. She's been in so many movies, it's hard to keep count. And her career highlights include work with Denzel Washington, Whitney Houston, Angela Bassett, Tupac Shakur, and Lawrence Fishburne, just to name a few. Let's take a look.
Oh, yeah. Hallelujah.
TVGuide.com declared Jennifer Lewis a national treasure. The acclaimed actress, singer, comedian, and activist has one of the most recognizable voices in Hollywood.
Listen, precious, listen.
Her role as Ruby Johnson on the hit ABC sitcom Blackish has given the entertainer a level of success she has worked on achieving for decades.
All of this, I had no idea.
And yet, it almost didn't happen. Just before Blackish, I found out that you thought about quitting the business.
Absolutely. I was going to retire. I had auditioned for 2 HBO shows, I believe, and I didn't get them. And I was like, I don't think I want anybody else to tell me that I'm not talented enough for a gig. So I got a little hanky, and I said, I'm gonna retire. Child, please. To retire from show business would be to retire from the act of breathing. I love what I do.
Something else I found interesting. So there's this big build-up to Jennifer Lewis joining Blackish. Mm-hmm. You do the Jennifer Lewis walk onto the set.
Yeah.
You get to the set, and you freeze. What happened?
I've done, 68 movies.
Yeah, 450?
460 now. Because
Oh, wow.
Blackish, 460 episodic television shows.
4
Broadway
plays?
shows.
Okay.
Oh, you did your homework. I was nervous. They're the great Jennifer Lewis, afraid of television, because I had done film for, I think, 6 years, no television. And to be called back to the small screen was shocking. And
So what happened? The director said...
I forgot my line, and I was forgiven, of course, because I am Jennifer Lewis.
Of course, the role has cemented her status as the mother of Black Hollywood, which, by the way, is the title of her new book. In it, she tells the stories of her life in show business and growing up in extreme poverty, the baby of 7 in Kinloch, a small town on the outskirts of St. Louis, Missouri.
My mother, of course, raised us alone. My father was nearby, but certainly not present. Lived in poverty and everything that comes with it, including the molestations, the abuse, the lack of attention. My mother was a domestic, scrubbing white people's toilets, and come home and had to iron all of our clothes and feed us all the government food that was given to us. We're on welfare. But then my mother got sick and tired of being sick and tired. And she went and became a nurse's aide at the St. Louis County Hospital for 25 years. And white people never came to our door again to inspect the house.
When she graduated from Webster University in 1979 and moved to New York City, she got her first job on Broadway in less than 2 weeks. Then a gig singing backup for Bette Midler. What followed were TV acting roles on shows like Murphy Brown, A Different World, and The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air. Lewis is one of the biggest sing-stillers in the business, and she knows it. Acting alongside dozens of big stars in all sorts of movies. But why acting? Why entertainment?
Oh, I was already a fool. Oh, no, honey. I sang my first solo when I was 5 years old in church. And from the reaction of the congregation, I knew in that moment what I was going to be. I was going to be an entertainer. I wanted people to stand up and applaud me for the rest of my life, because the love that came over the pews that fine Sunday morning, I stood there and I said out loud to myself, oh, this is life.
I want to talk about a couple of the films that you were in, and one of them is Poetic Justice because Tupac and Janet Jackson were starring.
The LA riots had just happened, and we were all on edge. John Singleton was directing, and Tupac was in his trailer. I wanted to rehearse Tupac, Snoopac, or Lupac. I didn't care who you were. I'm Jennifer Lewis, we're rehearsing. Well, he turned out to be a gentleman, just as sweet as he could be. The room was filled with weed. So much weed came out of that trailer. I was like, oh my God. But I went in and I was really staunch. I said, okay, y'all clear out because he's gonna rehearse. Silence. I knew I was gonna be killed. Well, I wasn't killed. He was like, yeah, come on in, mama, come on. And he was brilliant in the scene. He really was. I was very impressed. He was ready, he was professional, he was a gentleman.
What's love got to do with it?
What's love got to do with it? Lawrence Fishburne.
And Angela Bassett.
Angela Bassett, absolutely. Angela just turned 60, I'm 61. They had this thing on the internet with both of us looking good in our 60s. Okay, she looks better, but fuck her. Okay, but anyway, she'll love it, she'll laugh. So the first table read, Lawrence Fishburne and I, like...
And when did he become Lawrence anyway? Wasn't he Larry?
Well, he was Larry then. Yeah, but he's Lawrence now, honey. Look, with as many jobs as he's done, he can be Sir Lawrence, okay? It took me a minute to get used to Lawrence, but I complied if that's what he wanted. Honey, that's Morpheus. You call Morpheus whatever he wants to be called, okay? You want the blue pill or the red pill? But anyway, Lawrence and I locked eyes at the very first table read. And I was in love with someone, and I knew his girlfriend. But we locked eyes nonetheless. I mean, you know, come on, there's some powerful stuff going on there. Well, so what is this? Is this television or?
It's TV.
It's television? Oh, well, I can't tell this story. Well, nothing happened, but we became sister and brother. But I did have to put him in his place. You know men, and let's face it, I was a knockout back then. That's what I call good looking.
Jokes aside, Lewis struck a sad and serious tone for a second as she recalled starring with Whitney Houston in the 1996 film, The Preacher's Wife.
I believe in you and me. I believe that we will be.
I can't still I can't talk about her.
Well, as far as I can see.
Even now.
You will always be the one.
Well, I'll put it to you like this.
I believe in
Sitting there in that church and watching her sing gospel,
and like the river finds the sea.
I told the journalist that her voice was truly the eighth wonder of the world. It was a sight to see, my friend.
Singing joy, singing joy, 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 joy.
So she was singing live.
Oh, she was live, baby. And it was beautiful. And of course, I tried to get Whitney into therapy. Everybody knows that. It's in my book. And I loved her is all I can really tell you. I loved her deeply.
Therapy was something Lewis became quite familiar with as she spent years dealing with her own challenges.
I'm Jennifer Lewis! There's nothing wrong with me! Oh, but there was so much.
When did you first know something wasn't quite right, that you were discovering that you had this bipolar disorder?
Well, yeah, I was diagnosed with bipolar disorder, oh my God, I think it was 93. Anyway, I get the years mixed up, but the bottom line is I went and took care of myself. Did I sleep with you? I don't know. When people realize that something is wrong, they usually run from it. Don't run from it. Face it. Look in the mirror and say something's wrong, and go and take care of it, because the extremes of this mental disorder is no joke. The mania, which is the high, is very dangerous. Oh, I wanted to quit. I did. That's hard work. to go and tell somebody my mama abused me, the pastor of my church molested me, I had 2 abortions, this happened. Who gonna go around and tell all their business? Well, I did for you. I know who I am so with such gratitude. I am unafraid.
Unafraid and unapologetic. It's obvious her humor and dramatic nature attracts fans. But it's her truth that keeps them captivated, even when the truth hurts.
We need to all take a knee. Our ancestors took 2 knees and 2 hands.
Jennifer Jeanette Lewis has seen a lot and takes nothing for granted. What she has learned along the way, she says she owes it to the world to share. In the last lines of her new book, she pleads with her fans, "Don't let me have bared my soul for nothing. Ain't nobody got time for that in these streets." And remember that song she sang at 5 years old? Well, here it is.
You've been.
It's called "You Brought Me a Mighty Long Way."
Whoa, you brought me a mighty long way.
Oh, yes. Hallelujah. Sing it, Auntie. From Kinloch, Missouri to Hollywood, that is a mighty long way. Now we turn to an exclusive interview with the amazing singer, Brian McKnight, who was offered a singing, songwriter publishing deal when he was just a teenager. Since then, he has sold more than 25 million albums worldwide, earning a legendary spot in contemporary music history. Let's go. He developed his soulful gospel voice singing in church as a child in Buffalo, New York. His music reflects strong influences by artists like Donny Hathaway, James Ingram, and Earth, Wind, and Fire. With more than 30 million albums sold worldwide, his music contributes to the soundtrack for a generation. And who can forget his appearance on the show Martin?
There will never come a day you'll ever hear me say that I want and need to be without you. Is it a crime that I...
More recently, Brian dropped his 16th studio album. It's entitled Genesis.
You know, I really have been trying, since technology has changed so much, trying to figure out a way to write and produce the way I always have, but also incorporate today's technology without having people say, oh, he's just trying to be Drake, or he's just trying to be this guy or that guy. And I think Genesis is a combination of finally figuring out what that formula is. And I said to myself, I was like, you know, if no one had ever heard of me after 14 albums, what would I want to present to them? So Genesis is kind of a rebirth, you know, a repackaging of the same old Brian McKnight.
Well, you know what I was going to say. My next thing was ambitious, bold, or just pure. Which ones would you describe?
All three. I think, the problem is if I do what I always do, people will be like, well, that's just what he does. And if I do something new, they'll say, well, he's not doing what he normally does. So I kind of have to walk right down the middle of the line by being risky with 2 or 3 songs, having 8 songs that are right down the middle, and then having a couple of wild cards.
Well, that brings me to the question of who is Brian McKnight musically?
Oh man, musically, I am colorless, tasteless, with all the color and taste you can possibly have.
What does that mean? What does that mean?
You know what? I grew up at a time when music was not compartmentalized. It was genre-less. You know, you hear Willie Nelson, then Earth, Wind, and Fire, then, Kenny Loggins, then Luther Vandross, all on the same station. And I always thought it was great that you got to hear different types of interpretations of music. And I think that's the music I've always created. On the one hand, I've had R&B hits. On the other hand, I've had pop hits. I've had country hits. I've had rock hits. I've been sort of all over the board, which can be great and detrimental at the same time because people don't know they got a label. They got to put a label on it. You got a label. I'm a black man too. So then there's sort of this weird kind of thing that happens. I always wanted the greatest number of people, regardless of economics, regardless of color or creed, to be able to enjoy the music that I did. Because if you tell somebody that I do R&B in this particular country, there are people who might think that's something else. I say I create soul music, music from the soul and for the soul.
You put your hand in mine, and then you said hello, and I can hardly speak. My heart is beating so.
You love writing about love and romance.
Well, see, one thing we all have in common. If I only wrote about fixing cars, only auto mechanics would be able to relate to what I'm doing. Everybody wants to love someone. Everybody wants to be loved back in return the same way, and that's where you get the dichotomy of love. You know, I might be at 75% for a week. You might be at 25% for a month, and then, you know, the scales get sort of unbalanced.
Who's your favorite artist?
Ooh, that's a tough one. I have so many. Stevie is probably number one on the list, but there's 50 of them.
All is fair in love. Love's a crazy game.
Well, Stevie sung a lot of socially conscious songs. You ever think about doing that type of music as well?
Well, interestingly enough, the title track from the new record, Genesis, is about getting back to the way we probably should be, and probably the way that we could be. So if you listen to the lyric of that, you know, the very first line says, "We don't really talk like we used to, just 128 characters or less." So that gives you the basis of, you know, what that song is about.
Do you remember all of your songs? Because you've written so many. If I said like a few words, would you know what song that is?
I know. See, in the show, even last night in Newport Beach, there's a section of that show where I open up the floor for requests, and sometimes there'll be an obscure one from a record of a song that I've, you know, haven't played probably since I recorded it.
Okay.
And I tell them I may not know the words, but I know the music backwards and forwards.
I do want to test you
Okay.
on this just a little bit. Okay. It's undeniable.
That's back at one. That's easy.
It's undeniable that we should be together.
My Shattered.
One last cry.
My shattered dreams and broken heart are mending on shelf.
There will never come a day.
Never felt this way.
There will never come a day you'll ever hear me say.
You say,
You say. Okay.
yeah, I don't want to make it too easy.
Okay, that's the only one for me.
Say you've seen too many things that turn out to be too good to be true.
It's another.
Oh, Let It Snow.
Yeah.
I got you.
You know I was throwing that in there.
Let it snow, let it snow. Outside it's cold, but the fire's blazing. So baby, let it snow.
And I was asking you earlier, do you always know where your writing is going to take you?
Do I always know? No, I just write. Once we get in the car and get where we're going, then when we end up where, like today, I never knew that, you know, 3 years ago I'd be here today. Like, we won't know where we'll be tomorrow, but I know that a song is going to take me there.
In 2012, one song took him to a place no one was expecting.
And the name of the song is If You're Ready to Learn. So let me give you...
Since Brian's first album in 1992, he has been known for soulful romantic ballads. But If You're Ready to Learn caused a backlash among those surprised not so much by its explicit content, but that it was coming from Brian McKnight.
To show you if you're ready to learn, let me.
Well, I explained that before I did it, that it was actually a joke. That it was just, it was me writing a song because I saw a girl singing a song at the bar the night before that was way worse than the song that I wrote. And then I actually did it for a comedy website, and we just shot a comedy video, but for whatever reason, people thought that it was a serious thing. I never thought that it would blow up the internet like it did, but, you know, hindsight, I probably wouldn't do it again, but it kind of showed you that if you start off bad, in a sense, you can always be good. But if you start off good, people don't want to hear you do anything that might be left of center.
Can you sing a little bit from the new album?
Well, Forever's been out. I Want You just came out last Tuesday. Is it a crime that I worship your lips and what you do with your fingertips? It's about time. A half an hour's passed and not too soon to ask. Baby, you got that something and I need you now. I know you like to hear me say it out loud that I want you. It goes like that.
Oh my God, brother, thank you so much.
Thank you, man.
What's next?
Oh man, just more of the same.
More of the same is very likely more than enough.
If ever I believe my work is done, then I start back at one.
Say what you will about Brian McKnight, but no doubt he is an amazing singer. Now, time to rewind and take a look at a clip from my throwback video gallery.
Choose one of these for me that describes you or, your likes. Bad boy or mama's boy.
I'm all of the above. I'm super Usher.
Sam Cooke or Marvin Gaye.
Man, Marvin Gaye.
Gold or platinum.
Platinum.
Halle or J-Lo.
Woo! Can I have them both?
R&B and soul or pop.
R&B and soul.
Why? Pop is supposed to be.
You know what? What is pop? Pop is popular music. Whatever is hot at the moment. That's what pop is. R&B can be that. You know, you have a thin line as to where pop can go. Pop can't go soulful. Pop can't be hip hop. Pop can be hip hop for a moment, but because it's only hip hop and because hip hop can take over and dominate all of that, because R&B can take over and dominate all of that, pop can't do that.
Well, that's going to do it for today's Legends and Newcomers. I'm Tim Lampley, and I'll be back again with more exclusive interviews with some of the most beloved entertainers of our time. Until then, stay safe and stay fresh.